At the police academy, individuals arrive with various aspirations. Some seek the uniform, others desire respect. A few are motivated by family, and some are inspired by films. Among them are two young men, Billy Costigan and Colin Sullivan, each with distinct objectives. Billy aims to escape the criminal legacy of his family. For him, becoming a cop is a means to break free from that life. Conversely, Colin was raised by Frank Costello, a notorious Irish mob boss in South Boston. From a young age, Costello prepared him to be his informant. Although Colin wears the badge, he is a traitor from the beginning. Both men complete their training at the academy. No more pencils, no more books. Colin, with his impressive test scores, is swiftly recruited into the elite Special Investigation Unit. There, he meets Captain Queenan and his straightforward deputy, Sergeant Dignam, who conduct a brief interview before moving on. Billy's interview, however, is different. Dignam questions him about his deceased Uncle Jackie and his family's criminal history, asking why he wants to be a cop. Queenan listens and then offers an alternative route. Instead of joining the force directly, Billy is proposed undercover work. Given his family background, he is the ideal candidate. To make it credible, Queenan and Dignam orchestrate a case and have him spend a short time in prison before releasing him on probation. Word travels fast. Billy is now an ex-con and fits the role. Through his cousin's connections, he starts to infiltrate the criminal underworld, pretending to be a small-time dealer. One night, while sipping cranberry juice at a bar, Billy sits quietly as his cousin introduces him to Arnold, Costello's right-hand man. When a man nearby ridicules his drink, asking if he's on his period, Billy retaliates, shattering the glass in the man's face. This violent act grabs Arnold's attention, and soon Billy is on Costello's radar. Meanwhile, Colin is excelling in the Special Investigation Unit. Their primary target is Costello, who recently pilfered advanced microprocessors intended for weapons and plans to sell them to China. In secret, Colin alerts Costello that the police are closing in. Billy realizes he must get closer to Costello soon. One morning, while having breakfast at a small shop, he witnesses two Providence mobsters intimidating the shopkeeper for money. Seizing the opportunity, Billy takes them down. This bold action not only puts him on Costello's radar, but also earns him trust within the Irish mob. Meanwhile, Colin starts a romance with Madeline, a psychotherapist working with the SIU. During dinner, he charms her with casual conversation, skillfully extracting details about her patients without raising suspicion. Later that night, Billy returns to the bar for cranberry juice. This time, Arnold arrives with Costello himself. Billy is taken to a private room where Arnold scrutinizes him closely. "Show me your arm." "Flip it. He's clean." Suspicious about the morning brawl, Costello seizes Billy's injured hand and crushes it with his boot, pressing him to confess if he's a cop. After enough testing, Costello finally laughs, hands him money for his injury, and lets him go. Still uncertain, he later confers with Arnold. Costello is wary of Billy, yet Arnold assures him of Billy's sincerity, noting that Billy, like him, has nothing to lose and no family to anchor him. The following morning, police find the bodies of the two mobsters Billy fought. Costello quickly covers his tracks, instructing Colin to steer the investigation towards others. Meanwhile, Billy is gradually integrated into the crew, oblivious to Costello's phone conversation with Colin. After hanging up, Costello abruptly asks Billy what he can do for him. Billy merely nods anxiously, concealing his fear. Moments later, he rushes to the restroom, removes his police wire, and contacts Queenan. He refuses to wear a wire again, aware it could lead to his death. Back at SIU, Colin receives accolades for his smart tactics. He enlists his old academy friends, Brown and Berrigan, informing them of a potential mole in their unit. Colin's reputation quickly rises, and Madeline soon becomes his girlfriend. In contrast, Billy remains trapped in a perilous routine. Under Arnold's direction, he collects money and enforces Costello's commands, often resorting to violence. When Billy reports one of Costello's men, Fitzy, the police manage to apprehend him. However, without a warrant, they cannot file charges. At that moment, Collins appears off camera, pretending to be a lawyer sent by Costello. He hands Fitzy a phone, encouraging him to make a call. Fitzy dials Arnold, suggesting he's in trouble. This warning enables Costello's crew to eliminate evidence while simultaneously providing Collins' unit with a lead to pursue. Run the last number he called. That's his house. Colin expertly plays both sides. Costello's crew stays safe while the police think they are closing in. His reputation rises, making him a star in the department. However, Billy becomes increasingly frustrated. For over a year, he hears nothing about the microprocessors, with no solid leads for Queenan or Dignam. Fed up with waiting, he confronts them, demanding to know why Costello remains free despite numerous murders. Queenan tells him to be patient, insisting they need the right setup to catch someone as powerful as Costello. Just a little longer. As part of his probation, Billy must attend therapy. Coincidentally, his therapist is Madeline, Colin's girlfriend. She is unaware that Billy is an undercover cop and treats him like any other troubled client. She encourages him to open up, but Billy can't risk it. He only asks for a prescription to help with his anxiety and sleepless nights. When Madeline refuses, Billy storms out in anger. Moments later, she follows him outside, quietly giving him the prescription and telling him not to return, as she will transfer his case. Later that night, Colin learns the department is planning a major sting. Costello is about to sell stolen microprocessors to the Chinese. The IU team is on standby for Billy's signal. However, Colin, wanting to protect his mentor, secretly warns Costello to move the deal to a location without cameras. From a distance, Billy's signal is given. The buyers are present, but the police see nothing and hesitate. By the time they act, the trucks are empty. Did you put a camera in the back? You stupid fucker. Costello and the buyers have already escaped by boat. Once again, the police are left with nothing. Furious and scared, Billy pressures Dignam to find the mole in Sayu before Costello starts suspecting him. As the tension rises, Billy finds a fragile comfort in meeting Madeline outside her office. Over coffee, their talks become intimate. For Billy, she is the only one he can confide in, even if she remains unaware of his real life. Later, while punishing a betraying dealer, Billy uncovers something startling. Costello is actually an FBI informant. He has survived all these years by turning people over to the ensuring his own safety. Meanwhile, Costello becomes paranoid and insists Colin find a spy in his crew. Soon, the gang is called to a serious meeting in a garage. Arnold instructs everyone to submit personal details, from names to bank accounts. Billy sits still, fearing this is the moment he'll be revealed. Instead, he corrects a spelling error on Fitzy's form, then boldly tells Arnold he won't comply and walks out. That night, aware his cover can't last much longer, Billy visits Madeline's apartment. I must say, your vulnerability is really freaking me out right now. For once, he lets his defenses down. She doesn't reject him, and they spend the night together. The next day, Costello confronts Billy for refusing to provide his information. But Billy, exhausted from years of suspicion, finally stands up for himself. He tells Costello to shoot him if he doesn't trust him, but he won't play these games any longer. Impressed by his courage, Costello backs off and spares him. Billy finally breathes a bit easier, though he knows it won't last. At the same time, Colin's ascent continues. Now trusted to lead the search for the mole inside Sayu, he sees the perfect opportunity to protect himself and expose the department's hidden spies. Later that night, he secretly meets Costello in a theater, unaware that Billy is following him. Colin warns him to remain silent until the traitor is caught. Though annoyed, Costello agrees and gives him an envelope filled with crew records, the same documents Billy had refused to write, his spelling corrections still noted. Billy follows, curious about who took the envelope, but Colin, sharp as ever, senses he's being followed and slips away unnoticed. The next day at the office, Colin quietly checks the envelope Costello gave him, but the papers reveal nothing useful. At the same time, Costello pushes Billy aside from his latest drug run, claiming he wants new men for the job. Confused and worried, Billy reports this to Queenan, unaware that his cover is still safe. Costello, meanwhile, asks Colin if he has heard about any new recruits being undercover cops. Colin denies it, pretending he has contact with undercover sources. With that, Costello becomes convinced Billy is not the rat. To hide his own failure, Colin orders his detectives to shadow Queenan, hoping the captain might eventually meet the mole. His plan works. Queenan secretly meets Billy on a rooftop. 344 Washington. Colin passes the address to Costello's crew, who rush toward the building. They call Billy, demanding he help kill the traitor, not realizing he is the one they're after. The address is 314 Washington Street. You got it? Billy manages to escape down the back stairs, but in chaos, Costello's men throw Queenan off the roof. His body lands right in front of Billy, who freezes in shock. Gunfire erupts as officers shoot without waiting for Colin's command, and both sides take casualties. Back at headquarters, the weight of Queenan's death falls heavily. Dignam, enraged, punches Colin, and for his act of violence, he receives a 2-week suspension. Billy, meanwhile, is accused of being late to the ambush. One wounded man, barely holding on, whispers to Billy that he purposely gave him the wrong address. Yet Billy still arrived at the right place. Before Billy can silence him, the man dies of his injuries. Shaken, Billy seeks out Madeline. Though they meet, she refuses to see him again, confessing she has chosen her boyfriend. Alone and desperate, Billy sits in silence until his phone rings. The call is from Queenan's number. Terrified, he answers but hears only breathing. It's Colin, listening quietly. Billy hangs up in fear, then calls back, demanding to know who has the dead man's phone. Colin calmly introduces himself as Queenan's replacement. Soon after, news spreads that the dying man who nearly exposed Billy was also an undercover officer. Costello believes the mole has been caught and lowers his guard. Colin, however, suspects Costello might be an FBI informant, so he decides to keep Billy's identity secret. That night, Costello prepares for a major drug deal, convinced the danger has passed. But Colin, still playing both sides, warns him that police cars are following. Furious, Costello orders him to use his position to stop them. Colin reluctantly complies but claims to have a better plan. Moments later, Billy sends the exact location of the deal to the police. When the squad moves in, Billy warns Costello to flee, but the boss ignores him and continues loading the shipment. Billy slips away as the raid begins. A violent shootout ensues, leaving Costello's crew cut down one by one, including Arnold. Costello barely survives and runs for cover, only to confront Colin. For the first time, the two men face each other directly. Colin demands to know if Costello has been working with the FBI, fearing for his own career. Costello gives no answer. Instead, he reaches for his gun. Colin reacts first. A single shot ends it. Costello is dead. At last, Billy and Colin meet face to face. The weight each has been carrying now hangs heavy between them. Billy presses Colin on how he plans to uncover the rat inside the unit. Colin calmly promises he will handle it and asks for Billy's file password, claiming he needs to erase Billy's criminal record. Billy provides it, but once Colin leaves, the truth starts to emerge. Instead of correcting the false record, Colin discreetly deletes Billy's official police file. Meanwhile, Billy spots the same envelope Colin once had and realizes the truth. Colin is the mole. Shaken, Billy rushes to Madeline, the only person he trusts. He gives her an envelope, asking her to open it only if something happens to him. She still doesn't know who Billy truly is. That night, Madeline informs Colin that she is pregnant. For a moment, they share a quiet happiness, but the joy is short-lived. The next morning, Madeline discovers Billy's letter in the mail, a phone recording revealing Colin's secret. He's one of yours. Finally, she sees the truth. The man she thought was good is just a rat. Colin, now frantic, arranges to meet Billy. Billy makes it clear that Costello trusted him the most and that he has proof linking Colin to the mob boss. He instructs Colin to meet him on the rooftop where Queenan fell. When Colin arrives, Billy holds him at gunpoint and arrests him. Colin attempts to twist the narrative, claiming he was never a rat and that he used Costello as an informant. But Billy isn't convinced. Just then, Officer Brown arrives and aims his weapon, demanding Billy release Colin. Billy argues, explaining that Colin has been Costello's man all along. He forces Colin into the elevator while Brown hesitates. But when the doors open at the bottom, tragedy strikes. Billy is shot dead by Officer Berrigan. Calmly, Berrigan informs Colin that he too was Costello's mole since the academy. To eliminate all witnesses, he kills Brown as well. Colin stands there, stunned, until Berrigan removes the handcuffs. Then, in cold silence, Colin also shoots Berrigan. With 3 bodies around him, Colin walks away as the only survivor. Later, he fabricates the story, claiming Billy exposed Berrigan as the mole and died in the crossfire. Billy's funeral is conducted with full honors. Madeline weeps, heartbroken. She realizes the truth too late. The man she doubted was a hero, while the man she loved was merely a traitor. Although she carries Colin's child, she hands Billy's file to Dignam. Soon after, Colin returns to his apartment, but Dignam is waiting inside. Without a word, he raises his gun and takes Colin's life. As Colin's body falls, the camera lingers outside the window, where a single rat scurries across the railing. Thus, this crime masterpiece concludes with betrayal, justice, and silence.